Coming up next is the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime, a full review of WWE's Elimination Chamber this past Sunday on pay-per-view, and find out what ticked David Hero off about that pay-per-view. Also, our star of the week, I think you might be surprised by whom it is, a full review of WWE's debut of NXT this past Tuesday night. Hot news and discussion, and who's next to go to the WWE Hall of Fame. All that and so much more coming up next on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime.
Number one since 1998 on television, ESPN Radio, and the World Wide Web, this is the Pro Wrestling Report with your hosts, the man they call Meathead, Frank Cosentino, and Damian Nelson. Professional wrestling news, opinion, and information from fans for fans.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time for Friday, February 26, 2010. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Octavius Hero. David, how are you?
I'm back.
Welcome back.
I am back.
Were you somewhere?
Well, no. I mean, I had my little temper tantrum on Monday night.
You were pouting. You chose not to show up to the radio show on 540 ESPN this past Monday.
I was just trying to make a point.
Did you make the point?
I made a point.
You feel better about yourself?
I feel much better.
The fact of the matter is, though, still two people who you like a lot lost at the WWE Elimination Chamber last Sunday on pay-per-view. And we're going to talk about WWE's Elimination Chamber. We've got Star of the Week this week. We're going to talk about NXT and also the hot news and discussion.
It's always about hot news.
Thank you for joining us wherever you are all over the world. And let's start off by talking about the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view of this past Sunday, which featured two Elimination Chamber matchups each for a championship of a brand. Let's start off with the Raw Elimination Chamber, David Hero, which saw the champion Sheamus walk in, yet not walk out as the WWE champion. A bit of a crazy circumstance at the end there, as Sheamus loses the title, leaving Triple H and John Cena in the matchup, and then one of those two men would become the new WWE champion, but only would hold it for a few minutes.
I think the big story regarding the Chamber, besides Sheamus losing, obviously, was who beat him. Triple H.
Are you going to hop into a conspiracy theory?
No, there's no conspiracy, but why wouldn't John Cena beat Sheamus, the guy who beat him for the title, and then beat Triple H? It was just Triple H's way of beating the guy that was undefeated.
Wow.
It would have made
Sheamus
more sense.
isn't undefeated.
Well, you know what I mean.
But then we would not see either of them on the following night's Raw. We learned that Sheamus may be suffering from a concussion, which is why he may have been kept off TV, and Triple H would actually wrestle in the dark match after Raw went off the air this past Monday night.
Well, I think also they really didn't need Sheamus on TV. I mean, if they take the belt off him, they're obviously going in a different way for WrestleMania, which I think is a shame.
No pun intended?
No pun
Or
intended.
pun intended.
No pun intended. I mean, I think John Cena versus Batista is the match that obviously the fans wanted to see. They didn't want to see Sheamus because of all the backlash and complaints. So, like we always say, be careful what you wish for.
You just might get it.
You know, and they got it.
And Batista is the new WWE champion. The match made by Vince McMahon for John Cena immediately following the Elimination Chamber contest. Batista comes out and gets what McMahon had promised him, which is a match with John Cena. John Cena is not super enough to have defeated this challenge from Batista.
But once again, John Cena loses after another elimination match when he is beaten down. Edge did it at New Year's
just a year ago.
No, that was
2 years ago.
2 or 3 years ago, maybe.
That was last year, I thought.
Oh no, that was last year.
They'll tell us.
Well, yeah, obviously we'll just have to look down there for all the comments and.
What is this down there you all keep talking about? I don't get
down
it.
there. You know, but yeah. So I mean, it's okay if Cena loses that way because obviously he was too beaten up to move forward.
Batista, the new WWE champion, and as we would later learn, Batista goes into WrestleMania going up against John Cena in a bit of a rematch, I guess, for the WWE Championship. This one of the headlining matchups on WrestleMania.
It's a headlining match, absolutely. It'll be a big spot on the poster. You know what's funny is everyone now hates Batista, Bortista.
No, hated in this case.
Well,
and hate's a strong
but you know what the thing is 3 years ago, everyone loved the guy.
Yeah. He was huge.
He's still the same guy.
Is there any disagreement that his character now is much more intriguing than it was as a face?
I think it's the same guy, just amped up a little bit.
Which is good.
You know, but I liked him as the funny, sarcastic, well-dressed babyface.
All right.
That's just me.
You're entitled to that opinion.
That's
Batista,
my
the new
job title.
WWE champion. Let's move on to the SmackDown Elimination Chamber, where The Undertaker would walk through the depths of hell to be a part of that matchup and would become, or would not be able to walk out, still the World Heavyweight Champion, as Shawn Michaels gets involved, giving The Undertaker a bit of sweet chin music, thus causing him to get pinned 1, 2, 3 in the center of that ring by Chris Jericho, the brand new World Heavyweight Champion.
We need to rewind back a few weeks.
Show how we picked Sheamus.
Well, no, to show how we mentioned Shawn Michaels would come up from under the ring, and
Are you sure you're not getting the run sheets for these?
No, I'm not
shows?
getting any run sheets. Otherwise, I would have nailed so many more matches this past weekend. But you know what's going to happen now? It's going to give the fans another match that they wanted: Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. I don't want to call it part 2.
Okay.
Maybe WrestleMania match part 2. But
Yeah.
they've had so many matches over the years anyhow.
So many great matches, by
First
the way.
Hell in the Cell match.
1997, October 5th, to be exact.
So I mean, for me, I'm not looking forward to that match because it was too great last year, and career versus streak.
It's a big deal.
The career's going to end.
But it's a lot easier. You can't get out of a loss if you're The Undertaker because the streak is interrupted. However, if you're Shawn Michaels, how many wrestlers have retired, folks? If he loses that match, it may be against his career for now.
He'll be back. Absolutely.
Potentially. He's been back now for 8 years since coming back in 2002
The
on a
Macho
part-time
Man
temporary
came back.
basis.
Ric Flair's come back. I mean, Mick Foley, The Rock, Hulk Hogan, they all come back.
Shawn Michaels is, he's aged.
It's kind of like a scrawny guy in a cowboy hat.
Quote, unquote.
Yeah.
That's how an actual wrestling fan described Shawn Michaels after seeing him and not quite realizing it was him. Some scrawny guy in a cowboy hat.
But here's the thing. My theory is this. There's no way Shawn Michaels beats Undertaker.
No way? No chance of now?
No way.
Is
Here's
it going to be
why.
more likely
Here's
that...
why. He retires Ric Flair, and then he ends the streak. That is a lot to give one guy.
Some would say he's deserving.
Why? And for
Why?
everyone that calls him Mr. WrestleMania,
Yeah.
he has a losing record at WrestleMania.
Overall?
Overall. You know what? He got his deserving when he retired Ric Flair. I don't think he's the guy that ends the streak. If Undertaker has it his way, maybe he has someone else that he feels needs it more than Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels doesn't have to retire the Undertaker.
Right.
He's already in the Hall of Fame.
But what's the end result if Shawn Michaels loses twice to The Undertaker 2 years in a row at WrestleMania?
It doesn't make a difference. He's already known as the guy that retired Ric Flair.
It won't hurt Shawn Michaels
Now
at all.
Undertaker is the guy that retired Shawn Michaels. And then in a couple of years, it'll be Triple H is the guy that retires Undertaker. And then Sheamus will be the guy that retires Triple H.
You're going a little too far down the road there, buddy.
And then David Hart Smith is the guy that retires Sheamus. I'm
Chris
right.
Jericho versus Edge has also been determined as one of the headlining matches at WrestleMania 26
you're
from
just
Phoenix,
a funny
Arizona.
haha kind of guy, huh? You do
I'm
my headlining
I'm
against
reporting.
me.
I'm not using it against you. You interpreted it that way. I can't help that.
It's going to be a great match. Edge and Jericho is going to be solid.
Two great performers, two excellent performers. I will go off and say again that I did not and would not have expected them to be in one of the headlining matches at WrestleMania. But
You're funny, haha. You are just too much.
I'm just saying.
Okay, Pope. Is Pope going to headline WrestleMania? No. He's going to headline the Lockdown.
Oh, now he is.
Well, he's going to be in one of the main events at Lockdown. There'll be two.
But not headlining.
We don't know the card yet. Let's not. You know what? We're not going to do an 8-11 right now. We're talking about No Way Out.
Finishing up the Elimination Chamber, we saw the United States Championship defended The Miz up against MVP. The Miz able to retain. Why? Because he's awesome. And also we saw Drew McIntyre take on Kane. And I think the biggest note coming from that matchup is Drew's about as big as Kane.
Yeah, he's a legit 6'5", 6'6" guy.
Which I'm not sure ever was translated well on TV.
Well, I guess he's
prior to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's because no one gave what's his name that I called him, 4 or 5 months ago, a chance. And now look at him. He's beating Kane in a pay-per-view IC champ.
How about your girl, Gail?
You know what?
What a night for you. Elimination Chamber. Gail Kim gets pinned. Sheamus gets pinned. And Dave Hero's quiet, nowhere to be found.
Oh, I was around. I was preoccupied. Hey, you know, I mean...
2 losses. 2 big losses for 2 people you thought would come out on top on that paper.
You know what? Regardless of the outcome of the Divas match, Gail, Kim, and Maurice got screwed. They should have had a one-on-one singles match. Instead,
Well, they did.
Undertaker's girlfriend has to come down and...
You're making this personal, aren't you?
It is personal. It is. Beautiful People version WWE. Layla and Michelle McCool come down and they got to get involved in the match. It just shows the disrespect that they have for Gail Kim. They bumped the title match off a pay-per-view once before at the Rumble. They blew it off a few weeks on Raw.
It was never announced to be happening at the Rumble.
But it was
heavily
supposed to.
implied.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, now they're going to finally have the match at the pay-per-view, which once again it gets switched, and then they put the match on Raw, where Maurice then beats Gail Kim there. But it's like, come on, are you kidding me? I'm convinced that they only want the Barbie doll divas to be the champions on Raw and SmackDown.
Okay.
You don't. Well, am I wrong?
I'm not going to dispute your opinion. It is clearly the way that they've gone after this past Monday and after tonight's.
It's ridiculous.
SmackDown.
Gail Kim, Mickie James, Beth Phoenix are probably the 3 best female wrestlers they have. And they have the belts on 2 Diva Search winners or contestants. Now,
But what do the fans want to see, to be honest with you?
I guess they want to see Maurice and Michelle McCool.
That was WWE Elimination.
But they haven't changed anything. It's the same. It's like Kelly, Maurice, Michelle McCool. All 3 are in the ring together. They all look alike.
That is true. This is difficult to tell them apart.
See,
sometimes.
they could have Gail Kim versus Alicia Fox, and we can tell them apart. You know, they're not all, blonde hair, blue-eyed. We need some diversity in wrestling. Remember when Gail Kim and Awesome Kong had their great feud?
Yes.
How great were those matches?
And if you don't think Gail Kim can bump, watch any of those matches. I'm sure you can find them on YouTube. Wow.
I mean, those matches were headlining, main eventing Impact.
And
Great
getting
matches.
the highest ratings of the show usually.
And now they have Gail Kim on Raw.
Is that a reason though? Is there truth to the former TNA talent burning that happens or allegedly happens in WWE?
It's the Christian and Gail Kim, former TNA stars.
Christian's on Raw.
Okay, and how did he do on
As a star on NXT, R-Truth getting a push, arguably.
Okay, but here's the thing. The 2 that have come over, the 2 main eventers from TNA, have yet to win a meaningful match in WWE. They have not. They were main eventing on TNA.
Right.
They have yet to have a match against any main event caliber person in WWE. Right?
No, valid point.
I know I'm right.
Star of the week, David Hero. And this is very fitting because I think the journey getting to this point has been unique because this week's Star of the Week is Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, the American Dragon of NXT, who owned the debut episode of NXT this past Tuesday night on Sci-Fi. And we'll talk about the show in a minute, but Daniel Bryan, a man who many of us know as Bryan Danielson, a former stalwart in Ring of Honor, and a man who just has tremendous ground and pound kind of wrestling, a man who has been brutal in the ring, a man who signed with WWE a few months back and said he did so because it's time for him to start taking care of his body, taking care of his family, taking care of himself financially. Can't fault him for that, but what people did fault him for was all the time that he spent in Florida Championship Wrestling, seemingly never to be called up to the main roster, and now we see why the wait was executed.
He's on the main roster. They have him working in a program with one of the top heels.
And would that be The Miz?
I'm sure he's a true heel, too, even though he does get a babyface pop once in a while. No, I'm just trying to clarify because I know it'll pop up again sometime. But what they did is they put him in there with The Miz. And, we sat there at the Bradley Center, and I was like, and I have never seen him before. I've never watched Ring of Honor with him.
Daniel Bryan?
Yeah. And I was like, wow, this guy's a star.
And it was, and you hadn't seen him before, I had seen him before. Regardless, watching that match, watching the placement and the elevation that they did of him from the beginning of the program to the end of the program in that matchup with Chris Jericho, you knew something special had just happened in that ring, and that something was Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, they're definitely going to build the show around him. And you got to figure, I think it's like, what, 12 episodes? For the next 4 or 5 months,
yeah,
he's going to be in next, and, I'm sure they'll bring him to Raw, I would guess.
People talked about how dare WWE tag Daniel Bryan up with The Miz. The Miz hasn't been in the ring for nearly as long as Daniel Bryan had, and he had more talent than The Miz, and what the heck sense is this? They're going to crap all over NXT. And then you look at what they actually did, which was a stroke of brilliance.
They elevated
putting those two together.
Within 20 minutes of the show.
Great dialogue between the two. Just good stuff. Very good stuff. And Daniel Bryan is the star of the week as a result of that. I am intrigued, though, as we talk more about NXT, where they're going to go next. Because they gave us a lot in that first episode, and they had to. Give us a lot of background as to who the talents were and what the talents were all about. David Otunga, another standout, I think. But how do you keep that going? Some have said that it's going to focus on the behind-the-scenes life of these talents as well as they try to train. And maybe it's a little too much storyline-driven because their pros aren't really their pros. They're just sort of there for storyline purposes. But where do we go next with NXT?
Well, the production value of the show is awesome. I thought the vignettes were great. The lighting... The yellow gold lighting,
yeah,
it gives it a whole different feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
it's a different. Well, yes.
The first episode of NXT was better than any episode of ECW.
Any
in the past 3 years. Yes.
Okay, I'll give you that.
It was
different.
It had a better feel to it.
It was different, and it kept you engaged. And here's why I think NXT and the concept, now that we've seen it, will be successful. People love American Idol, Dancing with the Stars, So You Think You Can Dance,
Iron Chef,
Seducing Cindy. People love all those kind of reality shows. Why? Because you become interested in a particular character, and then you rally behind that particular character. This is what WWE has recreated. I say recreated because they had this spark in Tough Enough for its first few years, which is where we got The Miz.
And we also got Johnny Nitro.
Tough Enough, really, yes.
Mm-hmm.
John Morrison.
John Morrison.
Yes.
Matt Morgan, the Blueprint.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, there's been a few through there.
Big stars came up through there, and it's a way to identify talent. It's a way to keep the fans engaged. They had about a 36% ratings increase over the prior week on ECW. And a lot of that was initial interest to see what it was all about, trial viewership, if you will. But I think they did enough to keep it.
It was far better than I thought. I thought it was going to be FCW just jacked up.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't. I mean, what they're doing is they're going to give the fans an opportunity to become emotionally involved with this new young talent.
And our feedback, hundreds of emails that we get on a regular basis, that's what's missing in a lot of people's minds from professional wrestling right now. Why do I care? Why should I care? NXT has given a reason to care.
And I've said this for a long time. With the Attitude Era, the fans, they wanted to cheer for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. They cheered for Austin. They cheered for Rock. They cheered for Mankind, DX. Right now, they have no one that they can truly cheer for because
The Miz.
They cheer for The Miz, but for the longest time, it took forever for the people to truly get behind and cheer for John Cena.
Yeah.
Which
he wasn't even there on Monday, but whenever you go to a WWE live event or a televised event, they show the videos on the screens, and usually you get the huge pop for The Rock,
Tuesday.
The huge pop for Austin.
Right. SmackDown.
Yes.
He was there Monday.
Right. I mean, whenever you go.
Oh,
if you were there Monday,
I
Tuesday, to any televised event, you always get those pops. Every time they showed Cena, there was a similar pop.
It was loud. It was ridiculous.
Which it was very surprising. There was no booing at all. Now, I don't know if Milwaukee's different. It was one of the largest crowds WWE has had in probably the last 5 to 7 years. But I was a little taken aback and surprised by that. Michael Cole and Josh Matthews are the broadcast team. Matt Striker, the host, in the back.
Wow. Is that a demotion for Stryker?
Not at all.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. Striker's tremendous at what he does. He should be the best
Josh
color man
Matthews
in the
be the guy in the back?
No, I don't think so, because Josh is fresh, Josh is new. Matt Striker, I don't think is viewed.
New.
No. I think he's viewed as fresh and new.
Tough enough one.
I think he's viewed as fresh and new. I don't think Striker is.
Okay.
But there was this much talked about commentary between these two during the Daniel Bryan match, especially where Michael Cole said a lot of things that were damaging, in some fans' views, to the internet wrestling audience. The dirt sheets, the bloggers, the Twitterers.
Nice show you got there.
I think that might have been the highlight of the night. I think that this was so well played and well done between the two of them, and now they're making a bit of an angle out of it between Matthews and Cole. And I think it's going to give Cole some personality. 14 years this man's been with the company. Nobody's really ever cared about him.
Well, that haircut. Who could care about him?
How did JR get as big as JR is? Granted, he's gifted behind the microphone, but it was 1999 when they tried to turn him heel. When he had that angle with Dr. Death, Steve Williams, he'd just come back from Bell's palsy, he attacked Michael Cole, his moose in his hair, a little narrow ass. And from there, though, it wasn't a desired effect. It actually started in 96, 97 when McMahon got indicted, and him and McMahon were having that little angle. He brought back the real Diesel and Razor Ramon. That's what did it for JR. I wonder if this could have a similar impact on Michael Cole taking the heel role and being the most hated man in the WWE universe.
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if he's that big of a character where the fans are going to care.
It's something with him, though, to give them a reason to either care or not care.
Well, he definitely brings a different dynamic to the show. And I think it's, now they got, he'll obviously take the side of the pros,
and... But and somebody shouldn't they? Especially if you have this dissension between the pros
and Michael Cole is the right guy for it because he's been around for so long. So maybe he's the pro and Josh Matthews is the rookie.
Well, that's what I was saying before when you challenged me.
I didn't challenge you.
It felt like you did.
Well, I wasn't challenged.
I'm out of it. The overall show flow.
Well, I have yet to watch it on TV. I just saw it live. I thought it went really well. I didn't care for the... I like the Jericho Daniel Bryan match.
Yes.
I'm gonna get that name.
It's very difficult, especially since all they did was switch him around and take off the son of Daniels.
Because I don't think it helped Jericho. I think because the rookie got Jericho in a few submission holds, had a few near falls. He's the world champion,
But can't Jericho afford that?
No, he's the world champion going
he's so
against
hated.
the rookie.
But he's so hated.
But he's going against a rookie.
Do you think it was damaged by it, Jericho?
No, because I don't think most fans are as cynical as I am.
Yes, he said it. And if not Jericho, then who? Because really, what would we be talking about if it was not for that match on NXT? Still would have been a good show, I think, but I think they made waves by having that matchup on there.
Who else could they have paired him with?
Mm-hmm. To have such an impact. Our fans all over the world, listeners, our viewers have had tremendous feedback for the show, mostly centered around the Daniel Bryan.
They made him a star that night. With his interaction with Miz, with his match with Jericho, it shows, hey, he's a rookie, but he can hold his own. I mean, they accomplished their goals to making him a star. And I'm sure his Mattel action figure got scanned that night, and it'll be out in the next 3 months.
That is WWE NXT. Check it on Tuesday. I'm interested to see where they go from here with it, leading forward. And it's got potential. It's got a lot of potential, and it could be a very, very good show. David, we're going to be in Phoenix, Arizona for WrestleMania 26. Coming to you live from Baby's Steak and Lemonade. Along with Armando Estrada. I just like saying that. It feels good to say.
It's going to be great.
We're going to be broadcasting from the Phoenix area all weekend long. WrestleMania starting with a brand new edition or special edition of Primetime, special edition of Interactive, and all the coverage that you will get nowhere else from the Pro Wrestling Report, coming to you from WrestleMania 26, which is just about, 30 days away at this point now?
I think so.
Got to get moving on some planning for that. Also, be sure to pick up our application on iTunes. Drop it to your iPod. Some exclusive content coming to that starting this week that you will not get anywhere else. Well, if I tell them, then it spoils it.
I see what you're doing. I get you.
That can be found on iTunes. You can also find the links at pwrshow.com. David, let's go to some hot news and discussion. And the first topic is TNA announces a brand new deal for broadcasting their television shows in the UK. They're going to be airing Explosion and pay-per-views on the Extreme Sports Channel. This is in addition to Impact, which I believe still airs on Bravo. As a matter of fact, still, I don't know how, but they continue to do better than WWE in the ratings in the UK does Impact.
Oh, Bravo's I think it's a bigger channel over there.
Could be.
Don't they have like Queer Eye on that show?
I
Bravo?
believe that is potentially where it started from.
See?
We steal all the good television shows from the UK, though. American Idol came from there.
Big Brother.
The Office.
The
Faulty
Office.
Towers.
Faulty Towers. Modern Family is not.
Impact remains on Bravo, like I said. This was causing a lot of uproar over in the UK, specifically because they no longer had an opportunity to watch TNA pay-per-views. Now they do, and this really sealing the deal with TNA over in the United Kingdom, where it is huge.
The international market loves wrestling. I think they appreciate it more than the American fans do.
Absolutely.
Because we're spoiled over here.
Mm-hmm.
We get so much.
TNA's live event business since Hulk Hogan has arrived with the company, David Hero. We've seen the numbers. We've seen that they are pulling more people, substantially more people, into the average live event than they were before Hogan came. Hogan hasn't been on any of the live events.
No, but the upgrade in talent on the live events.
Absolutely.
You got Mr. Anderson versus Jeff Jarrett. You got Beer Money.
Ric Flair's been on the road as well.
I mean, they're finally doing it right. They're giving the fans talent that they want to see.
The same talent. No, they're giving them the same talent they're seeing on TV. Because remember when we went to the house show in Racine, Wisconsin, we
No
saw
offense,
people.
we had Shark Boy.
Right.
No offense, but
And that's the fishing line, because Dave Hero said so. Good show though. Don't get me wrong, it was a good show. But aside from Matt Morgan and Scott Steiner and AJ Styles
and Kip James,
he wasn't on TV at the time.
well, no, I'm saying as far as recognizable names.
Right, recognizable names, but people who had been prominently featured on Impact, that was it. Everybody else you had not seen. I mean, Kiyoshi wrestled. Yeah, you'd seen him, but he didn't wrestle. Thank you, Mr. Piper. Piper said that at Mean Gene asked him about Haku, and he said, God bless you, in a pre-match.
Haku and Kiyoshi are two different people.
Yes, they are, but you said, God bless you.
Should I have said Gesundheit? Salud?
Are they meeting the expectations of the fans, given the fact that they're doing so much more business at these shows without Hulk Hogan on the card?
Yeah, because right now...
Do you think the fans expect to see Hogan when they go to a TNA live event?
I don't think they expect that, but like I said, now when they see the advertised show, they're like, wow, there's more names that they're going to recognize, more faces that they're going to see.
Beer money, beer money?
Beer money, beer money.
Mad Dog Vachon, David Hero. It's the next, going to be an inductee into this year's WWE
Are we spoiling for people right now?
I don't think it's a spoiler. It's hot news.
Oh, it is hot news.
That's
finally
different.
Maurice Mad Dog Vachon going into the Hall of Fame.
Any chance of King Kong Bundy? Who deserves it?
I'm hoping. I'm hoping he does. It'd be nice. King Kong Bundy deserves to go in. The Master of the 5 count.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Headlined and main evented WrestleMania 2.
Yeah.
Final
news item is Awesome Kong is brought suit against BTLS, Bubba the Love Sponge,
Wow.
alleging a phone call happened from Bubba, calling her a racial slur and threatening to punch her face in. One would think that maybe this is normal in the wrestling business, but not quite from Kong, who has filed suit. Now, question, David Hero, is this real or is it a work?
You can't file a lawsuit as work.
Oh, you can. There's some penalties behind it.
Yeah, big penalties behind it. But who knows?
It's a little too convenient. It's keeping Bubba in the spotlight.
Until we see the actual court documents stamped and everything, we don't know. But boy, this is getting ugly.
Yeah.
This is damage. If this is all true, it's Bubba's done.
Done?
Done.
Just went back to terrestrial radio as well in Tampa, I believe.
Done. You can't come back. This is like
Imus did.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. It took him a while to come back.
It took him years.
Yeah. Not good.
I thought this had gone away, to be honest with you, but something happened. I guess Kong was trying to prove through her cell phone company that this call had come from Bubba. They wouldn't release the information, so some are saying she only filed suit to get the information released so she could prove to everybody that it was him that did it, which ultimately, as you said, is going to be very damaging to him. He has released a statement vehemently denying that this had occurred and that that the call was made from him or anyone on his staff.
You better pray to God his number or nothing close to him pops up on there.
Will it?
We'll never know.
You got to sort of think it will. If you look at what's funny on the Bubba the Love Sponge show, as far as they're concerned, something like this I think is and would be. It's a prank call. And if it was nothing more than a prank call, how much trouble can you get into for that? You know, if he can show a history of doing prank calls on his show, which clearly he can, then this is no different than any other prank call they've done, you know, so.
Well, this is very different.
Because she punched him out.
Well, no, he dropped some serious language on this call.
Yeah, but...
Some people might not.
Okay, what's
so.
the worst? What's the worst? Is it a harassment thing?
It's a hate call.
Wait, is there such a thing as a hate call?
Oh, absolutely. That's what the whole thing's about. She's saying it was a hate call.
Well, we'll see what happens as this very interesting story continues to develop over the next few weeks. David, we're going to be live again on Monday. Coming to you from 540 ESPN, streaming
You know what
live.
I don't like right now is in big, bold red letters, you have Gail Kim pinned on your notes.
What that was, see, the red pen is used for in-show edits.
That hurts.
No, I remembered because we discussed it in pre-show.
No,
and I remember.
I think that was
It doesn't say Seamus pin.
It's intentional.
Ladies and gentlemen, mark the date, February 26, 2010. David Hero got sensitive. And you know what it was? It was all of your feedback from his comments on the Pope recently.
Which I'm still not wrong.
Do you want to be right?
I'm going to be happy and right. Because they have not announced the whole card yet.
Who will give in faster? Al Gore in 2000 or David Hero before lockdown?
Hey, I never once mentioned global warming.
Monday night, PWR on 540 ESPN, streaming live at pwrshow.com. David Hero, our email inbox runneth over by the hundreds again. So we're going to be doing some special episodes of the Pro Wrestling Report Interactive, of which you will join us for a couple of those, because there are some questions specifically for you.
I'm sure, absolutely.
We'll be doing those over the course of the next few days, so keep checking back at pwrshow.com to find those episodes. In the meantime and in between time, we'll see you Monday night on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com Pro Wrestling Report.